understand.
We are running a few minutes behind here, so I'll go ahead and call this to order if that's okay, everybody. So we're gonna read, if everybody gets a minute, if you could review the minutes from January 8th, I appreciate it. When you're comfortable, we'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second. Thank you. Okay, so here's our discussion items. We're gonna ask Mr. Saline for an update on the courthouse if we may.
We're up and running. Y'all should be in there, work session or something weird. So everything's up and running like it should now.
That's great news. Thank you. Yeah.
We've got one more elevator inspection to have, but it's already been reported, so they'll get here as soon as they can. They've done the cat 1, they'll have to do the cat 5.
Thank you. Alrighty, so then here is the pink elephant in the room, B, administration building generator. We have this quote on the back here from Thompson. Since we met the last meeting, we're not able to establish a quorum, so we've been behind the eight ball this a little bit, but Landon and I came over here. And there was, I don't know, the gentleman that did the generator came over and did an assessment, I believe. And if Landon, if you could speak to that thing a little bit as to where we were with that, did you guys get a rundown as to where we were?
I think he's been in contact with Tom, with Cliff, y'all discussed in the last little bit. Anthony, correct?
Both Anthony and the
Okay.
other guy. The other guy's been burnt. He got hurt and he had an accident, so he's
Oh,
been
Lord.
out.
He was on his way over that day, that afternoon, if I understood correctly, and got caught up in a situation that caused him to, I think, got burned on his legs a little bit, pretty heavily, actually.
Oh, Lord.
So Anthony texted me earlier today and said he was gonna try to get here sometime this week or next and take another look at this generator. The problem with it is the generator itself has failed inside the internal units is what's wrong with it. I don't know if they can rewire that one or rewind it or if it has to be completely replaced. And I don't have a price on it. They're working on that, so I don't know what it's gonna cost to fix that one.
I know we had a discussion regarding if we do have to replace this generator, to look at doing the entire building. Stepping it up to do an entire building instead of just doing that one closet in there. Landon,
You
please.
don't want to speak, I
I'm
know.
glad for you to be here.
What we looked into, and I understand, I brought this to my dad and said, hey, we'll just run this building. We went and did some calculations. The 125 kW, that's a quote sitting in front of you right here, will not run the 400 amp service that's on this building.
No.
This building has a 400 amp service. It'll get you about 361 amps. It's awful close, but it's not enough, is what we're saying there in this case. When I first saw this one and saw that part, my thoughts would be the entire building needs to be run. If you go back and look at the panel, you can go back here and look. I'm sure y'all can get a run through there if you want to go in a little bit. There's about 4 sub panels that have a red label E on them. Those panels are the ones that come out of the panel that's transferred through the generator currently. It gets a lot of the building, but not the entirety of the building. This is a main office for the county, so in the event of an emergency that there's a power down issue, it would make sense to me that this office can run with power, whatever the issue is. Generators do have a cost, but it makes sense to, they've actually gone up a lot in the last little bit. I guess what hasn't, but they're a lot higher today than they were in the past when I used to look at these a little bit more often. But as we look at this piece, a 150 or a something higher than that needs to be, it would require, I believe it was a 150. Anthony is an individual that I've known, my dad's worked with for quite a while, on generators. He's a guy that's very knowledgeable about generators. He did say this one can be fixed. I don't know if it's really worth fixing in honesty of looking at it, at the piece of what we've got. It runs a part of the building. It runs the main part of the building, which is, your phone lines, keeps the phone lines up for, 911. Mr. Slee, is that correct on that part?
Yes.
That's what's gotta be ran. That's what's making Mr. Slee's headache here. It's gotta be ran. We understand that's gotta be done. That, with a very minimum amount of fixes out there, and changing of that transfer panel can be ran to run the entire building. You're just heating the whole, you're just putting a generator on the entire building. A transfer switch has got to change, take a bigger transfer switch than the one that's set out there now. Some little movements. It's not a huge step. If we're gonna spend 140,000 and it costs us 160, it makes sense to do the whole building, in my opinion. And I'm just throwing a number of 160. It would make sense to go a little bit larger to make sure we cover the entire building. You get 361 amps out of that one, not the 400 you need.
So, go ahead.
Go ahead, Beverly.
So Cliff, do you think that, will he be able to get us a quote on covering the whole building within the next couple of weeks?
Cat, he'll have to come back and redo a lot of stuff he'll want to take a look at everything. So I don't know, I could call him and see, but it just really boils down to what y'all really want to do here tonight. If you want to spend the money to repair this one, if not, we need to call, Mr. Anthony and just tell him, there's no need in coming and looking at it if we're gonna replace it. But if y'all are interested in repairing it to do what it's been doing, then that's the cheapest route for sure.
Okay.
Now, is it just a natural gas generator will generate more electricity, a bit more than what a diesel will, because a diesel runs at a slightly lower RPM, am I correct?
Diesel and propane, I'm sorry, propane and natural gas.
Propane, natural gas will run.
If this 125 kW was I believe it's the number's 20% more, it will put out 20% more of what it's available. This being a diesel gets us 361 amps. I'll say this, I heard from Anthony, I just checked in on it with Anthony. I just want, kind of where are we, what's the numbers and what's it looking like? That's how I knew the guy got burned as well. Anthony, thought that the generator could be what he had the parts and could get the parts available, maybe less than $15,000. It's still a very old unit, y'all. Just to be honest with you, it's got quite a bit of age on it. It's a natural gas older unit. Here's a mention that was also mentioned: natural gas. In the event of an emergency, we may not have a contract that guarantees us natural gas. We've got diesel sitting in the tanks up at the county garage. There's a generator been put on the county garage. They can pump fuel in the event of an emergency. So in my view, going forward, and you're right, Mr. Slee, it'll have to be completely rewritten because the transfer switch would have to change. The transfer switch would have to be placed at a different location. The feeders would have to be changed coming into the building. Is there a little bit of cost in that? Certainly, but if you're going to spend 140, why not spend the money to do it right up front? Not to be a little off if it costs us a little bit more to do it right the first time.
Yeah, I agree 100% with all this, because like you said, in an event of an emergency, you don't need just the 911 or the 911 system up. You need the entire, this is your city county building. This is your administrative building. In a state of emergency, this hub right here is critical.
I mean, I hope it never happens again, but we might be stuck with what happened when the tornado came through.
07, 08. That was terrible. Yeah.
And I mean, it looked like a ghost town around here.
Remember it well. Do we need to try, for the sake of being good stewards, do we need to try and get more than one quote?
This is the Sourcewell quote. Mr.
Small
Chambers
contract.
went through the trouble to get us into Sourcewell, because this guy will tell you the same thing my case dealer told me when I bought the backhoe and everything we bought since. It's the best, it's the cheapest deal. We're getting that, we got our case backhoe cheaper than Diamond Equipment could get it. This is absolutely hands down the best price we're gonna get.
Okay.
We can check around, we can do whatever you like to do, but that's why we started using Sourcewell and went through the trouble to get on with these people. We can price the generator somewhere else, or we can, the biggest thing is when you start quoting this stuff, you have to compare apples to apples.
Mhm.
It's very hard to find three alike items
Exactly.
with three different manufacturers.
And the reason I asked those is because these are questions that we keep getting. And that's all, that's the reason I asked.
Really, question I had was not the generator cost itself, but the wiring. That could, y'all have any idea on
The cost, oh, inside this,
that? Yeah.
so this quote here was just putting back into the original transfer switch. It's pretty much just replacing the generator sitting there and using what's there to connect back to the transfer switches that's currently there. That's all this is. Will there be an additional cost? Certainly. to get that
That's what I was asking to begin with, if that was reasonable.
It would appear that this quote is reasonable. This quote is reasonable. The price of everything seems to have shot through the roof. That's just a simple way of putting it.
I just couldn't wrap my mind around
I won't disagree with
the
you.
wiring being as high as the generator was. For not changing much.
Won't disagree with you.
Yes.
Mr. Sleep.
Sorry.
Anthony might know someone that might get you an additional quote, just if just to give a comparable piece, if he knows exactly what we're looking at, he may know someone that can get us a quote. This is, that's what that individual does every day, is generators. I'm not speaking on, I don't know Anthony as a personal friend or anything of that nature. I just know this guy. If you try to have people in your notebook that you know call that know what they know, and he's a dude that knows generators pretty well. That's the only reason I say that.
Right.
If there's availability, just to even see if it's a reasonable, with what it's gonna cost, it is gonna cost more, plain and simple, y'all. The transfer switch and the way they choose to do it will cost more here. And there's always gonna be a cost of adding fuel back too. But there will be a savings, I would assume right now. We're paying a monthly, is this building on natural gas? Heat
Yeah.
Heat's on natural gas, okay. So it's not gonna save anything there.
That's okay. You know, I don't believe in rushing anything, get another quote. But I'm gonna tell you, it seems like every time that we delay, the price don't do anything but go up
100% correct on everything.
on everything.
Just a reminder to you, this will not run the building. What's quoted here will not run the building.
We do, and I do appreciate all of Cliff's efforts on this stuff. I really do. It's just,
I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna say, I'm not even sure this is my job. I'm really not supposed to be doing this. This has not ever been put on me to do. I took it on as a kindness because
we appreciate that.
when we do have storms, I have to go to the shop, load a little handheld gasoline generator about half the size of this table in the back of my pickup, get down here and get it running, get extension cords ran. By the time I get that done, the power kicks back on. So I've done this more out of a frustration. I'll do whatever y'all ask me to do, but you know, I've chased my tail with this thing now where I just soon go back to hauling my gasoline generator around with me. It's a big headache. It's a huge headache.
Well, I think that, and again, I don't want you to feel like we don't appreciate it.
I
Because we do.
know you do. I know you do. It's just discouraging when you chase your tail, you know, and you can talk to everybody. Everybody wants something different. You know, some people want bigger, some people want smaller, some people want dual fuel, some people want back to natural gas. And, you know, the diesel guys have sold me on diesel just because if a tornado hits here, it's not gonna hit every surrounding county. We can go somewhere and find diesel within 100 miles of here.
That's right.
So if the hospital says we need all the natural gas in town and they do have a contract with the gas company, I don't know what that is. But you know, Ray's down here at the city hall is the natural gas. The one at the community center is the natural gas. And you know, I would rather see those running on natural gas and up and running because they're already in place and still have good service left in them. If we're gonna change, I've talked to, the American Legion main office in Nashville. They just put a new generator in for their elevators and it's a diesel. Wilson County, their jail, their new jail is a diesel. I just prefer to go with this diesel. If y'all wanna do something different, we'll do whatever you'd like to do.
No, it's preferred.
I thought diesel was the best move by far. I just would
Absolutely.
like to go, with I would like to see us move. If it's the one you want to push, we can push it.
Well, I'd like to push it one size bigger so we can run the whole building, just in case, just to be able to run this whole building.
So let me ask you this, because it's been brought up. If a tornado comes through here, I don't know of anybody that'll be buying tags or be in this building. Last time we had an emergency like this, the building was not that occupied. People were taking care of families and things like that. So is it a necessity or not?
That's what I was gonna ask. Do we need checks how many amps we're pulling on a normal basis anyway?
Oh, this building's hot and we've melted the wires in the
I knew we
box.
changed those out once, I just didn't know how many amps.
Hook it up with it for the hole.
That's
So
right.
it's got to manage the hole. They want,
It's got to realize 400 amps.
it's got to be able to handle that 400 amps that's in it.
You said we were getting that, so.
Do what now?
You said we were getting that, so.
Yeah, that's exactly what you
We're
get.
less than 100 amps away.
A lot of houses have 400 amp meter bases, don't ever pull nowhere near that.
That's 100%.
What I was getting at.
I get that too.
Exactly.
But I also believe when he says this building's hot.
I was just wondering.
During the summer, the air is on and every secretary's got a little electric heater plugged in, every one of them. And then there's battery backups that are pulling all the time. This building runs very hot, very hot.
It's cool.
Can we have a quote for the whole building?
Sure, we can do whatever y'all like to do.
And then we know what it is for this and we'll know what it is for the whole building. Then we'll know. I don't want to continually throw good money after bad money on this old generator out here because we spend $15,000 on getting it run in 2-3 weeks or a month or 3. It's something else that goes wrong with it that everything in it.
I
you
think
can't
you'll
get.
have to get a new quote for this exact thing, because to my reading, this quote is already expired.
It has.
Roy, the guy that works
And it might be still somewhat close, I don't
with
know.
Anthony was here working on this generator. And the one part that does fail that's irreplaceable is still working on this generator, but that has been the downfall of several of these exact generators. It's a little part on the very back of the generator that tells it when and not to charge. And when that goes bad, they're obsolete. You cannot find one. They don't make them anymore. We can't hire nobody to make one. They had one just like that burn a hole in the top of a piston. They don't make pistons for that engine anymore. That exact engine identical to that one. By the time they paid the design company and an engineer or molding company to pour one and got the engine fixed, they were 10,000 deep in one piston. This generator is a boat anchor. Just wait and charge us one more time. And I just assume y'all didn't spend money on it, but it y'all.
We don't disagree with you on that at all.
I'd like to fix it. If we could fix it for $3,500, it'd be great, but we're throwing good money after bad. Because $3,500 is not gonna fix this generator.
Well, I mean, you do that, and who's to tell that another part might go out on it?
It burns about, and I will say it burns about a half quart of oil between oil changes. And that, it has every right to, when it cranks up, it's screaming, that motor screams. I don't know how it don't fly apart anyway.
So I guess we'll look forward to getting a quote for the whole building. And I do understand, I'll be here buying license plates, but there's other things in here in a extended period of time. There's other services in here, accounting and things of that nature that we do have.
Maybe that, you don't know who would need to come in here to operate it.
Yes,
Something.
all your permitting offices, everything would run. The entire, every computer in this building would run.
that's right.
That's in my view, a necessity. That is, I don't disagree that hopefully we don't have this issue, but that's everything.
Well, Cliff, thank you for everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing it. I need to know, I need direction.
We're gonna get a new quote for
400 amps.
this one and then another quote for the whole building, or we just doing the whole building?
I mean, he can revise that existing quote, I guess, if he wants to, so we can lay them side by each, as they say in Canada. And then, make a decision from there, but I mean, I believe
I
that,
mean, I agree with you, I just, depending on what the number comes back, if it's even feasible.
sorry,
Talking about seeing the difference in the cost, is it extremely high?
Mhm.
Is it extremely high? That's what you're asking, right?
it'll be a bit. Anything else about the generator?
So this wasn't a new transfer switches?
No, it does have a new one, but it's gonna be larger. or something. You got a little bit, actually, it might not be, what did it say for? I have to read it.
It'll all be new with this.
And we're literally looking at a difference between a 125 kV and like a 150 or 165. So, anything else on the generator? So it was asked on C, relocating of county offices. Do you have anything you'd like to speak on that, Mayor?
Election, we can getting ready to move or move some stuff.
They moved almost all their stuff. They've got a little bit more to move.
Who's that?
Election commission, but they won't take office over in the courthouse until after next election. So. It was a bad deal. He got upset and went and got a lot of his stuff, not upset, but went and got a lot of his stuff and moved back to the extension office because he had every intention of having this election there. And it just didn't seem like it was gonna happen. And the day he shut the door and had all his stuff out, they came and fixed the AC. So he's just content with staying where he's at now until, which is good. With that unit needs to be put through its paces, on and
Until
off
after the
again.
November
Yeah,
election.
because I don't want them to get in there and it fail and we have to do something with them then after Jason's taken over the entire office where they are now, so. It's running now. It does need to be put through its paces, so this heat we've had is good for it. And this little cold spell we're coming up will change it back over to heat, which is good for it, so. I think another thing that was brought up, that was my secretary moving offices from where she was to back here in the back. I've heard talk about that. But, they hired a new pay girl. She's gonna be in her old office. Carrie was kind of wanting a window seat. It just worked out better for her to be back there and we had the opportunity to move her, so we moved her. If y'all don't want her moved, I'll move her back.
No. I don't think it's gonna do it. When it talked about relocating county offices, I've had people come up and ask me about shifting. And that's the reason I was asking if you had anything you wanted to add to it, because you and I had this discussion when it was brought forward, is that moving people from buildings and to building and moving things around without it being brought to a committee. I didn't realize it was an issue, but apparently to some people, apparently it is. Or moving entities into a county building that on giving them permission to occupy. Case in point, was it the VFW? No, the Legion?
Oh, yeah, American Legion.
Yeah, going in the courthouse before it was approved and they were moving stuff in. And so I guess what we're asking is, do we need to have before things, or does it need to come before a committee before?
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't think anybody else will be moving without, I mean, I moved too, I'm just as guilty, I moved over to the office on Damascus. We're outgrowing this building in leaps and bounds. And, what we don't use for secretarial space, we're using for storage. Jenny has hired a temporary, or we've hired a temporary, or part-time, I'm sorry, to do the litter grant stuff. She's supposed to be in here a couple of times a week doing stuff, so she needed a little space. I think she's using this office here directly behind me.
Mhm.
We're just running out of room here. This building was crowded when we bought it, but they were bound and determined to do it. You can go ask any of the old hands, Candace, Rita, Cindy. If you say, do you want to move back to the courthouse? They'd knock you down getting out of here. They'd rather be at the courthouse. They were all forced to come here, and, you know, they didn't have much more room at the courthouse, but that's where they preferred to be. Anyway, I did move too, so I'm just as guilty. But, eventually we may have to move my secretary over as well, just to keep things going. That building's been a blessing to us, in several reasons. We moved a lot of our stuff that we kept outside that didn't need to be outside, our banners for downtown. Several, plumbing supplies and electrical supplies and switches. We've got a ton of stuff. Anybody's welcome to come in at any time to walk through and see what we've done with it. Park materials are over there. Jenny got a new storage building, and we took that building, her old one, tied it to the backhoe and drug it over there. Put new metal all the way around it. It looks great sitting there like it is, and that stores the Christmas tree now. And all of our Christmas decorations for downtown. Before that, they were up in the attic at the shop collecting dust, so we had to wash everything. We didn't have any idea where we was gonna put this Christmas tree. The building was a good plus for us. So moving over there wasn't a big cost. I don't think you'll see it in the light bill or the water bill because it's unoccupied most of the time. And the lights and water was on anyway. We sat over there for 2 or 3 years, ever since the community, whatever that was, the little clinic.
Yeah.
It's the power and the gas and the water's been on, so it's not, I don't think
I
you'll
mean,
see
you're
it
only
hit
paying
anywhere.
the bare minimum, so it's not like it's not
That,
another big expense for it.
yeah, I mean, if y'all want me to move, I'll
No,
move anywhere you
no,
want.
no, there's no sense in that. There was some concerns about things. And that, again, the Legion thing is what sparked it, I believe.
I think that as long as they're in a county building, it doesn't matter unless it's something that is. Say if, and I'm just throwing this out here, but just say if Rita was gonna move back to the courthouse, yes, we would need to know it just to make it public. Or something of that, or people that are actually going into that office to pay fees, fines, whatever, yes. But as for us as a commission, I mean, I think it's better for our buildings to be utilized and have the bodies in and out of them than for them just to sit there and be collected dust. I mean, I would love for our courthouse to have all the bodies back in it. I think it would help it.
Lived in is a lot better than not,
Yes,
for sure.
and vacant.
Mine's still locked a lot of the time because when we're not there, they have probation over there on Thursdays, and we've had little old ladies come in that think it's still a clinic. So it is locked, but if I'm there, it's unlocked.
Understood. Do we have any other business that we need to discuss from this committee? Mr. Mayor? No, I'm good. Don't see anybody here for public comment. So we feel like we've covered everything?
We got a new roof put on the extension office this week. Finally got that finished up. We had a quote from a year ago, and he just now got that finished, so the new roof's been put on. Once Mr. Paxton gets out, then we're gonna have a new awning made and clean up the front of the building. It'll be pressure washed and probably new trim painted and that stuff. Just get that building cleaned up and looking a lot nicer. If we have to paint the rock, we'll paint the rock, but I'm really hoping that don't happen. A lot of it's just rust and stuff from age, and it'll clean up with a little acid and elbow grease. So.
Well, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. And Cliff, thank you.